Hello, 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 everybody. It's Friday night and it's time for PoliTarology. I am solo tonight and I've got my friend Sherry backstage helping me out. Thank you so much, Sherry. And the time was messed up on StreamYard. It's my fault, but I didn't notice it until just a little while ago. So StreamYard came out and said we weren't starting till 7:35. So there might be people kind of drifting in as we get started here. Right now, there's not very many people watching. But as you watch this on replay, I apologize having to make all of these announcements about the live, but you know how live is. You have to deal with it when you deal with it. All right, so I have a few questions to start with. There's Abby Yandel. Hi, Abby. And there's Sherry saying hello. Thank you, Sherry. And I just want everybody to put their questions in all caps and political questions, please. And we will read on them. And I'm going to start out talking about this lawsuit that Trump has come out with today against Rupert Murdoch, the Wall Street Journal, Dow Jones, and the reporters who wrote about him in an unflattering way pertaining to the Epstein case and their whole back and forth. We have it, we don't have it, we're releasing it, there's nothing to release, yada, yada. So first, I just want to see if the case is actually going to go forward because, I mean, Lisa Rubin, I just was watching Nicole Wallace on Deadline White House, and Lisa Rubin was looking into the case. She couldn't find it on the docket, so it's still being filed or it's yet to be filed, but Trump's talking about it, so, for him, that makes it real. That's cute, isn't it? He talks about it and thinks it's real. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of things not too real in his world. But I'm going to shuffle on this. And what I want to know is it really going to be a case? Is it going to go to trial and all of that? Or is he going to kind of back out? Okay, so let's look at this. Oh, and I see Bella Dawn is in there. Thanks, Sherry. And let's see. What is going to happen with this case? Is it really going to come to fruition? Dianomi, you were listening to me and Sherry backstage, I think. We will talk about that too. Now, what is going to happen with this case against Rupert Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal and Dow Jones and the reporters who wrote about Trump? What in the world will happen? Well, let's find out. Okay. Not a lot. Not a lot is going to happen with this. It's going to be more of a matter of Trump putting things out, getting publicity off of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't even know. Now, I got to move my microphone. You guys tell me if you can't hear me because I'm just moving it away just a little bit. So here's the thing. Here's what I thought when I first heard about this. It's, he's a public figure. And public figures can't sue the public for libel. They're public figures. They are subject to ridicule. They're subject to criticism. They're subject to people talking about them because they are public figures. So I'll be very surprised. Well, Pam Bondi will let it go through, but it isn't like a real thing. So, cuckoo bananas for him. Yeah. So the first card that I get is the Four of Swords, which is that resting in retirement, not really being out in the world card. And so I think that, the case may very well just go away, although Trump wants money. And he's very good at pressing his case with media outlets to get them to pay him money. He's also good at that with some law firms. Now, the card that crosses it is the Five of Wands, which is in the public, conflict, fighting, And we know how much he really loves fighting and all of that stuff. Seven of Hearts is in the background, Seven of Cups, that is. And that's all this mishigash. I mean, he has so many things going on out in the public that you don't know which way to look. You don't know what to look at. They're all shiny objects. And after a while, when somebody, it's like the boy who cried wolf, when he has done this so many times, it doesn't hold any weight. There's no teeth behind it because he just does it all the time anyway, and nothing comes of it. It's like the taco claim, right? That he doesn't really press these suits to the end, except for some of them where he gets them to give him money. And then have we heard of any of the law firms that bowed down to him and said, okay, we'll do your pro bono work? Has there been any pro bono work? I don't know that there has. Of course, maybe they're not talking about it, and they probably forgot to call me to tell me. But what crowns this is the Ace of Pentacles. So could there be the threat of a countersuit from the people he's suing, saying, oh yeah, well, you go ahead and sue us and we'll turn around and sue you for twice as much? Or, oh yeah, you sue us? Oh, well, now we're really going to let everything out into the public. And he doesn't want that. So there could be something that pushes back to his claim. We're not going to know. We got the High Priestess in the future, so we're not going to know all the details of this. But you can be sure there's going to be a lot of maneuvering behind the scenes. And I think in the end, I don't think we're going to see a real lawsuit. I don't really think it's going to come to be. I think he wants it to come to be, but he realizes that this is kind of hokey because he's a public figure. You can't really do this if you're a public figure. What else do we have here? Nine of Hearts, that's good. And the Star. Yeah, he wants all this stuff. He wants to succeed, of course, but the end result is the Two of Pentacles, and that is either the money laundering card or somebody who can't handle money. So, he may end up with some dirty-handed deal that he's set up for them, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it should be real. It just doesn't. All right, so that's what I think about that case. Now, what do we see from the point of view of Rupert Murdoch? What does this mean for him? Because this is kind of a big deal. I mean, Rupert Murdoch and Donald Trump did have a pretty good relationship, but now we see that Murdoch has turned on Trump, and that was a while coming. That's been a couple of years that he's slowly been turning his media empire against him, except for Fox. Fox turned away. Now Fox seems to be back. But his papers, his print material, does not seem to be fully encompassing the Donald. So what's going to go on with Wall Street? And especially not if Donald's suing him. What does he want to take over the Wall Street Journal? What does he expect Rupert to do? Rupert's going to outlive Trump, I think. Well, I don't know. Rupert's pretty old. Okay, I'll take that back. I'm not quite sure about that. All right, Rupert Murdoch. What is going to become of your Wall Street Journal? What is going to become of it? An august journalistic institution. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of bluster out front. There's going to be a lot of people blustering and talking out front, but we're not going to know. The main signifier is the moon. So Rupert Murdoch is also going to play this. He's going to play both sides. Out in public, he's probably going to continue to act like he doesn't care about Donald and he doesn't want to kowtow to Donald. But behind closed doors, I got the Five of Swords. I think that Rupert is telling him, you knock that off. You knock that off unless you want me to explode the whole damn thing about Epstein. And you know that I can. Because Rupert, I'm sure, knows where all the bodies are buried. And he can certainly contact anybody who would help fill in the gaps of anything he didn't know. So I don't think Donald should poke that bear. I really don't. In the past, we have Judgment. So I think Rupert has done this before with Donald, where he's just put him in his place. Um, yeah, this is not good. Rupert sees this as an intense betrayal on him, which it is, but Donald sees the so-called libelous article as a betrayal on him. So the question is, of these two aging buffalo, which one is going to prevail? Well, Rupert probably has more money than Donald, so he can probably last longer. And he doesn't want his empire to go, to bite the dust. His kids are taking it over. His kids are in their 50s and 60s. Um, what's coming out in front is the Princess of Wands, which is like the Page of Wands. So they're going to release news, but they're going to release small news. It's not going to be a big splashy thing. They're going to use some of their media to play out this back and forth relationship with him and Donald and make it seem very, it's going to be salacious. Ooh, are they turning on each other? Ooh, is Rupert and Donald having a big feud? But really, they're having a business disagreement, and Rupert will prevail in that instance because Donald's not a very good business person. Oh yeah. Yeah. This is a very messy, murky affair. We're never going to really know what happens, but I pretty much think we're not going to hear much more about this lawsuit. I don't think it's going to go to court. I don't think Donald's going to really get a lot of satisfaction. I'm pretty sure Murdoch's not going to get a lot of satisfaction. However, when it comes to bluffing and getting their way, I think Murdoch's going to prevail because what does Murdoch have to lose? He doesn't care. What could Trump possibly have on him that he would care about coming out in the public? That he got lucky and didn't he marry Jerry Hall? I mean, my God, the man was so lucky. I mean, what what could he threaten him with? What could Trump threaten Murdoch with? Aside from money and ruining his empire, and Murdoch's not going to let that happen because Murdoch still has influence over Fox and his son, some influence. And while Fox is still supporting Trump, don't put it past Murdoch to just say, oh, do you want all of a sudden Fox News to not support you at all? Because that can happen. And that would be bad. That would be pretty devastating for Dumpy. All right, so that's what's going down on that. And now this 2003 birthday letter to Epstein that they wrote the article about, what's going to happen there? Is that just the beginning? Is there going to be more stuff like that? I mean, how can... Trump says it wasn't him. He doesn't draw. I don't draw. That's not me at all. Are you kidding me? What about the Sharpie and the hurricane? Huh? What about drawing that map? That was drawing, Donald. That was drawing. So, what's going to happen there? Okay. Here we go. What's going to happen with that letter that he wrote? Well, what hops out? King of Hearts. Well, it's gonna break his heart. Just gonna break his heart, Donald's heart. Just gonna make him so sad that this came out and kind of sullied. Oh no, I know he isn't married to Jerry Hall any longer, Jennifer. I know, but he was. He was for a good long time. And she was very pretty. All right, so what's going to happen with this? I think the same thing as the lawsuit, but let's see. Let's see what is happening with this. So it's going to be very upsetting. And it already is very upsetting. Donald's very upset with this. Well, it's interesting. Two of Swords crossed by Three of Hearts. I think, what the Donald wants is like a big fat retraction and Rupert, let's be friends again. And please, 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 let's just let bygones be bygones, old friend. And let's just let that happen. But Rupert knows he can't trust him. You can't trust him. 3 of Swords. Yeah. Rupert doesn't trust him, and Rupert's not gonna let this go. He's not retracting it. He's not telling his sons to retract it. I don't know who all runs the Wall Street Journal. I don't know if that's one of his family or not, but they're not retracting it because they have it in black and white. It's true. And there's just so much gobbledygook all around it, and there's so much, shadiness. It's very shady, the whole thing. No, it's the truth. I got the Princess of Swords, which is like the Page of Swords. It's the truth. The truth has come out. And there he is, the Fool, and the 5 of Hearts. He's brokenhearted over it. And he really hopes they can start again. He really wants that friendship back. Well, Murdoch's going to get what he wants. This is what I'm saying. Murdoch is a smart guy, maybe really old, but he can rally. He can take himself off the beach for a couple of hours and come in and dictate a few letters and tell them this is what we want. And he's going to get what he wants. He's a smart guy. He's a really smart guy. And then he can go back to, relaxing and be in his semi-retirement or retirement. Whatever. Isn't he in his 90s, that guy? Oh, God. Okay. So let's take a question from the starred questions. Let's see. Jennifer. Okay, let's take this one. Let's take this first one. Good evening. What is the real reason Cobar was canceled? Okay. I don't really need cards for this, but I'll throw cards just to give a little bit more detail. Why was he fired? I think it was in the agreement with Paramount. I think Trump made it a part of that deal so that, in order for them to get it approved or agreed to, that Cobar had to go. He doesn't like him. He doesn't like being made fun of. Bothers him. He doesn't like that he talks about things like the so-called steal, just tosses it off as if it's just a fact. He does not like that. So it seems coincidence that Cobar made some comments about, I believe, the article the night before he was fired, but I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it was always in the stars that they were going to fire him after this deal was inked, after it was signed. I think it was a part of it. I think it was part of the whole package. And you got to get rid of that Cobar. Can't stand him. We want him gone. That's what I think. But I'll throw some cards on it. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is my hunch. Yeah. First card up, the 8 of Cups. Yeah, he's gone. He's gone. He's going to go. It was all part of it. Yep. Wheel of Fortune. Yep. Yeah, it was part of the deal. We got the deal, the handshake deal. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And that back scratch results in Cobar gone. That's what it is. Yep. They were locked in. They signed the agreement. They were locked into it. And then they got their good deal. They got what they wanted. Okay, I've explained what I think. The end result here is the Fool card. This is going to be a wonderful new journey for Cobar. This does not particularly throw him or scare him. He's a pretty wealthy guy, but I don't think he's ready to stop working. And this will just take him in another direction, just like Jon Stewart. He'll just go in a little bit different direction. He'll come back to television from time to time, but he'll probably go off on YouTube, like, one of the established networks, so he doesn't have to build up a whole thing and create a whole enterprise and structure for himself. Trevor Noah did it. People do it. Bob Acosta, Don Lemon, Katie Fang. I mean, they're big names, and if they go on Substack and YouTube, they're going to get a big draw. So I'm not too worried about Colbert. You'll just have to look for somewhere else to see him. But believe me, I mean, do you think he was the only one that was fired? Well, if his show goes off the air, then the writers were fired too. But if they try to replace him on a moment's notice, although they probably knew that this was happening, so maybe they were looking for someone, but that kind of talent you can't really replace quickly. I mean, that takes a very special person who has to come in and become the personality of the show. So that's why he was fired. It was written into the contract for the deal with Paramount. Okay, next, let's see. Will G. Maxwell be the woman who takes Donnie Diapers down? She'll be a big part of it. That whole thing with Epstein will be the beginning of a disgrace, a public disgrace and humiliation to Dumpy. And yeah, I think she'll be a big part of it. She won't be the main reason, but she'll be a big part of it. She'll be one of the women that, I mean, he's had multiple women bring him to heel. You know, E. Jean Carroll, Letitia James, even Fonnie Willis really brought him to heel, which was why she almost got herself canned in the process. I mean, lots of women, you know, have really called him on the carpet and brought him to heel. But we'll see what happens here. All right. What is the real reason Maureen Comey was fired? You mean aside from the fact that her father is Jim Comey? That's reason enough. And is it coincidence that they started up an investigation probably hours before they fired her? Maybe it was a couple of days, but she investigated all of these cases. The Epstein case she was investigating, and I can't remember the other ones. Let me see if I can just pull them up. Yeah, she helped with the Sean Diddy case, the Epstein case. It doesn't say what other ones. There was one other big one that she was working on. And it wasn't like she was the lead prosecutor on it, but that doesn't matter. She's the daughter of Jim Comey. The MAGA and Trumpy Dumpy, they're so petty. It doesn't take much. They're just so. Oh, J6. Thank you, Sherry. Yeah, it doesn't take much. They're just real petty. So that's all it took. Okay, so I don't really get a big feeling about this, but let's look at this. Will the 15-year-old boy kidnapped by ICE and taken to Alligator Alcatraz be returned promptly? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Let's read on it. If you know that boy's name, can you put it in the chat, please? Sherry, if you see that name, can you just star it for me so I can see? I think he'll be returned. I think there'll be a big, big brouhaha. Alexis, thank you, Sherry. I think he will be returned, and I think it'll be a battle royale getting him out of there. Um, but it's not going to be good. He does not. I don't see a really good outcome for this person. This is a nightmare for him. Just a nightmare, and his family is very upset, as they would be, as anybody's family would be. Um, and it won't take very long before a lot of the details about his case will be hidden from the public, and we may not know his fate for a while. But he will be returned before the end of the year. Yeah, he'll be definitely be returned before the end of the year. And but it's not good when he comes back. It's just like um, Kilmar, it's no bueno when he's back here in the States, because he knows that people want to do him harm. So he asked to remain incarcerated. This is a 15-year-old kid. What does that mean for him? Where does he get held in protective custody? Juvie? I mean, really crazy. So it's bad. It's not great for him, but he will come back from Alligator Alcatraz. That's true. Okay. And do you think the victims will be the ones who expose Trump's dirt? Well, that's already happening. Kilmar, in his lawsuit, is already exposing um, a lot of the stuff that is happening at CCOT in El Salvador, and I would suspect that others will follow. That the ones at Alligator Alcatraz, I think they're already talking, because the conditions at Alligator Alcatraz are just so poor. I mean, the flooding and not being able even to keep everybody dry. Pretty soon there'll be all sorts of diseases going around there. So I don't think they'll be able to keep it open. That's what I'm thinking about that place. So angry that Stephen. Yeah. GOP rep refers franchise. This is a good one. The GOP rep refers federal chair Jerome Powell to DOJ on criminal charges. Will this go anywhere? Let's see. Let's see. Will Jerome Powell actually will the DOJ actually prosecute Jerome Powell on charges from the House of Representatives? Will he be brought up on federal charges? It's interesting. I think they'll draw up the papers, but I think things will be dismissed, and I think it will be done very quietly. I do not think that there will be. I think there's just so much law in Jerome Powell's favor and so much law against the charges. They just don't make any sense. So, they can't go straight to the Supreme Court. They have to go through the lower courts and work up to the Supreme Court. So Federal charges means that he'll be in one of the district courts. And there's a lot of good district court judges. So in that amount of time, I think that it just won't go. It just won't develop. It will pretty much be dismissed, I think. That's what I'm going to say. So we'll get to the point where papers are drawn up and he or his attorneys have to make some sort of an appearance in court, but I think it will pretty much be dismissed. Okay, what else do we have here? Let's see. Oh, Artist Liz, we already talked about that. The WSJ suit. I don't know. Oh, let's do this one. Do you think Dumpy will have a public health episode? Oh, let's see. Yes, I think he will have a public health episode. I think he will. And I think everybody will think, ooh, this is the end. He's really done now. And it won't be. He'll rally even from that. I mean, he's got this vein thing going on. He's got the black on the back of his hand. He's got the so many things. He's got the no exercising. I don't know if he still eats McDonald's. I read somewhere or heard somewhere that he's actually on one of the GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic, and you cannot eat shitty food when you're on those. You'll just feel sick all the time. Of course, maybe that would account for his looking like he's in a bad mood all the time. Maybe he doesn't feel good. That could be. If he's just like, I'm going to eat McDonald's anyway, he's going to feel like crap if he does that. He's not going to feel good. And so that might explain why he always looks like he's in a bad mood. But yeah, I think there'll be a public health event, and of course they'll try to downplay it, but it will be obvious to everybody who sees it that something really bad happened. He'll be out of the public eye for a few days or maybe even a week or two, and then he'll come back. It's like he'll be resurrected again. There'll be, numerous pharmaceutical cocktails injected. I don't know what kind of, board they can put up his spine to make him sit up straight, and, how many catheters and IVs and things that they can pump into him. But they'll do that, and they'll let him trot out on stage again or sit behind the stupid desk again. I don't know. But you do notice that a lot of his appearances in the media are him sitting at the desk in the Oval Office, and he's slumped forward, and he's, not, he's kind of leaning to one side and just kind of talking off like this to the camera. This is not the guy that we know from The Apprentice. This is not the guy who's all Hollywood and sparkle and shine. This is a guy at the end of his days. This is King Lear trudging over the moor trying to find his daughter. I mean, this is not a happy camper. All right, let's get another one. Okay. Why do his people suddenly care about PDF files and traffic? Letter from. Yeah, that's true. Well, here's what this is about. Why do his people suddenly care about PDF files and traffic? I'm not sure I quite understand that, but the letter that WSJ published was from 2003. That is true, but we don't know when WSJ came into possession of that letter. I mean, they may have gotten it fairly recently and just been trying to figure out what was a good time to release it. I was asking about Epstein Trump victims telling all about Trump. Oh, okay. All right. So here's the thing. I believe that after Virginia unalived herself, I think that the people who are left, who are victims of Epstein, I think that took a lot of wind out of their sails. I think they're very sad, very, very, very sad about what happened to her. They may rally, but right now they're not thinking, ooh, I can't wait to testify about this. They've testified, they've told their stories, they've done interviews, and for them, not much has happened. So I think that those women, they'll still band together. And at some point, I think they still will testify. But the thing with the DOJ saying that there's nothing to see here, that we're not releasing anything because there isn't anything, has another effect that's very, very important. The MAGAs were already beginning to lose faith in Dumpy. And now that he's just saying, no, can't do. And then this thing with a letter comes out that looks like he was really besties with Jeff, and he's trying to deny it, and it's so obvious that he can't. I mean, he can't prove it's not true. It's true. And so the MAGAs are really upset because they want all this stuff to come out, and now they're really pissed at Dumpy because they believed what he said. Because what he said before was that, hell yeah, we're going to release that evidence. Hell yeah, we're going to release the files on Epstein. That was a terrible thing. He talked bad about him. He acted as if he didn't know him. He acted as if he didn't know Ghislaine when he was best friends with Epstein for 15 years. And the MAGA didn't know that. The MAGA thought he was against all the Epstein stuff. And so now that Dumpy is saying there was nothing there, they are really insulted and they feel betrayed. And so a lot of MAGA are beginning to not love Dumpy anymore. That's big. That's what we need to have happen in order for all of this to go away, in order for the regime to be overturned. Hi, Libby. So Meister Tarot is saying the felon is suing WSJ over the birthday message article. Will the evidence be shown? I read on this earlier in the show, and I really feel that it depends on how Rupert Murdoch responds to Dumpy, and it depends on how Dumpy pursues this, because it feels like Dumpy is not really, he just doesn't have the motivation really to pursue this lawsuit. And he's a public figure. Public figures in our country, you're not able to, I mean, the public figure can't sue for libel. That's just kind of baked into the cake. If you're a public figure, you just take your knocks. Hey, you're out there in the public. Anybody can say anything about you. If Hillary Clinton couldn't sue all those people for calling her whatever they called her during the 2016 election, I mean, she had a lot of right to do that, but people can't do that if they're a public figure. It doesn't wash. It doesn't win. It doesn't wash. Rupert Murdoch, though, with his tete-a-tete with Trump in this lawsuit, I think walks a very fine line for Dumpy, because I'm pretty sure Dumpy knows that if the Wall Street Journal has that, what else do they have? And what else do a lot of people have? There's so much stuff out there. So I think that Murdoch is going to try to put him in his place and say, no, you're not coming for my empire. You're not going to take away my empire over a birthday card. That is not happening. You are going to shut up and sit down and go back in the corner. And maybe we're a little nicer on the next article that we publish, but we're still going to publish. And you can't do anything about it. I think that's what Murdoch is going to do, because what does Murdoch have to lose? Except the Wall Street Journal, but I don't think that Dumpy can take away the Wall Street Journal from him. That's what I think. All right, so, and here's just a follow-up. Will Dumpy be out of office by the end of the year? I mean, it's hard. It is so hard to say. The timing is, not something that you can really pinpoint. I think that we are beginning to see the crumbling of his support, the crumbling of, like nobody likes Pam Bondi. Everybody wants her gone. I even think that Dumpy at some point very soon will ask her to step down, or tell her to step down. And that she's a big, powerful linchpin for him. Without her in that DOJ, who knows? Who knows who he would put in there and what they would do, but they just wouldn't. I don't think they'd be as powerful as Pam Bondi has been. She's been pretty powerful, but, the poor girl still has her law license, but, 10 minutes from now, who knows if she'll still have it. And that's what she needs in order to work. So she may lose it, and I don't know, it's not really good for her. Will he be out by the end of the year? I mean, I think that the dismantling of his government will be affected by the end of the year, or be in process, really heavy in process by the end of the year. I do feel that. Beyond that, I can't really give any firm dates, but I do think that he'll be. I don't think he'll be kicking around in 2026. I really don't. Okay, I'm wondering if a large. Sandy Miller, a good portion of the MAGA will move away from Dumpy. There will always be a certain portion, 15, 16, 17% of the original mob, that will go to their grave just living and breathing those gold tennis shoes. But a good portion of them will not. Now, a smattering of people off the top of that group have left, and there's a group called Leaving MAGA, which has grown by leaps and bounds over the last 2 years. 2 years, even before Trump was in office, they've begun to lose hope. Maybe it started in 2024, so maybe it's not 2 years. Maybe it's just like the last year. Maybe I misspoke. But I tried to see what the numbers were for that organization, and there really are none. So it's really hard to tell how many are in that Leaving MAGA, but there have been at least like 15 different people who have told their story about Leaving MAGA to numerous news outlets, like not just Midas Touch. I know Midas Touch has been really big on getting these people on and giving them a platform to talk, so that it's noticed, so that the public can notice that people are leaving MAGA, that it is a thing to leave MAGA, to give up the worship of DJT. So, that is really happening. Okay, thank you, Sherry. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you later. Okay, so I'm on my own, guys, and you know how bad I am at the comments, but I'm going to try. I'm going to put in a big effort here. Okay. Will Ghislaine's case be heard by the Supreme Court? Pretty likely. It's pretty likely. I also think that Ghislaine's going to be heard in Congress. I think there's going to be something where she's heard by Congress. I looked at her chart last night, so if you want to hear me discuss that, watch my show from last night with Sybil Harmony. I went over the charts of a few people for where they were at right now and what was coming up for them. And for Ghislaine, she'll be totally free. It'll be like another year or more before she's totally free. But I think she's going to testify wherever they want her to. I think she'd be happy to testify. So if it goes to the Supreme Court, she'll go to the Supreme Court. Okay. What will happen to Fox News after the turd is gone? They'll become a lot more moderate. I don't know if they'll ever be a true news network or news channel, but they'll become a lot more moderate. They'll take a hit in their ratings, obviously, but they'll come back and they'll still be a force. They do have a lot of shows that just provide public information, but unfortunately a lot of their public information is laced in with all the MAGA information. So they'll have to, get rid of that crap. And when they do, they'll still have a broadcast organization that can make money and that is viewed by a lot of different people. So they'll survive, but they'll change a lot. They'll change a lot. Oh, Dee. Who the hell knows who's going to be the nominees in 2028? We got to get through 2025 and see this regime demolished. And then we can talk about what might be happening in the next 6 months or the next 8 months or whatever. I have no idea. So I'm sorry. I cannot even read on that. It's too far away and there's too much that has to happen. All right, let me just look at some of these. Did I miss any of these? I mean, I know I missed some of them, but okay. Why have we not heard more lately about the election interference cases going on in several states? Well, because, the wheels of justice grind slowly. They don't go real quick. But I have not heard of them being blocked or dropped or anybody, any kind of like injunctions against them or being dismissed. So I think they're ongoing. I think that the people giving evidence giving evidence for these things, they probably now realize they have to be kind of careful because it's not without risk to say these things in this world, in this country right now. So they do have to be somewhat careful. But that doesn't mean that drags the case on. I mean, they can do all sorts of things to protect witnesses. So they're still ongoing. And I do believe that in the final, and I don't think final is a good word, but in the culmination of forces that come together to bring down this regime, I do believe that the evidence and information about the interference, and especially in the swing states, will be very, very important, if not key, to making this all happen. And I believe, Libby, I think I heard it on your channel that Joe Biden had put in place a plan that if the elections for 2024 were found to be illegitimate, that the military would step in and, I'm just going to put it this way, rectify the situation. Okay? And I believe that. I do believe that's going to happen. So that the interference will not be what brings him personally down, but it will have a huge impact on the military stepping in and taking over and reforming government. That's what I'm going to say about that. Okay, so we did that one. What's the energy this time next year? Okay, Dee, I'll answer that one for you. Let me do a different deck for this. Oh, maybe that's the energy, that little song I was singing. Do you know what that was? It was, I think, a Sousa march. Do, 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 do. So I think the energy is going to be good, but I'll throw some cards anyway. Next year. So it's July 18th. So what will the energy be next year on July 18th? What will the energy be like next year on July 18th? Maybe too far out for us to tell, but as the way things sit now, this is what we think the energy is going to be. It's very loud when I shuffle, isn't it? I know I try not to talk when I'm shuffling because it competes. Okay. Nice. Nice. Okay, this is what I see. So we get the 10 of cups. No glare there. We get the 10 of cups, which is happiness, real happiness, and not just happy, but satisfied, very happy and satisfied about where we are. We get the Queen of Swords, and we all know who that is. And if you don't, her initials are KH. That's her initials. We get this guy, King of Wands at the base, and his initials are TW. So he's there. In the past is the Five of Pentacles, where we're worried, where money is an issue, where health is an issue, where we're concerned, we're feeling like we don't have enough, and we're feeling like we're unsupported. What crowns us is the Knight of Swords. I think there'll be ongoing lawsuits happening by then. Lots of news coming out about the lawsuits, lots of action with lawsuits, but very positive. Now, I do get in the future, I do get the King of Pentacles in the future. Not quite sure which which person this is that says the King of Pentacles, but we'll see, won't we? We'll see. Yeah, we'll just see. No, I'll go ahead and say it. So King of Pentacles could be, I believe that, okay, now I got to look up somebody's horoscope before I say their name, because I just want to make sure that they're, that I'm thinking of their birthday the right way. There we go. Just give me a second here. No, that's not him. Okay, good. I'm glad I didn't say that. Okay, so King of Pentacles could be somebody who's in banking, who's helping make things right. It could be just our security, securing the country, making sure that everybody's safe. It could be our economy coming right back to where it was when Biden was in office. So it could be a lot of stability. That's what I'm going to say. We're worried. We're going to be shell-shocked for a while. We're going to be nervous and shell-shocked about our country, about the economy, about things like Social Security and Medicare and all those things, and what was put into place by Doge, and is there going to be fallout from that? And did somebody forget to turn the switch off from that? So those kinds of things are going to be a worry for a while, and still next year it will be very new, so we'll still be worried about those things. But we have a lot to be happy about. We have a lot to be happy about at that time. And there could be some people or some things that, because they're coming up in the news and probably being charged, they're probably going to court, they're probably in court, probably lawsuits are going on, and they're being prosecuted. That's the word I was trying to find, prosecuted. That it's kind of like PTSD, like every time like Stephen Miller, like every time there's a Stephen Miller headline, people are just going to shudder. Just like, oh, Stephen Miller, like it's going to get you. It's really going to bother you. But he will be safely contained by then, I believe. The final outcome card is Judgment. that there is going to be a judgment on this regime, and they will be held accountable. It may take a very long time for the whole body of them to be held accountable, but they will be held accountable in more than one way. In one way, personally, if they don't, find some way to skittle out of it in this world or the next, but also because this is going to give us a blueprint for how to rewrite the Constitution, the amendments to the Constitution that we will be needing. We'll need numerous amendments to the Constitution, but also just our general laws, like how we run Congress, how we run the whatever you call it, how the people who take over the presidency, I can't think of the word right now, but how the hierarchy goes when, if this person's gone, then this person becomes president, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Things about SCOTUS, how will that be run? How will that be changed? What will the rules be for that? Will they have ethics rules that have teeth so that they have consequences if they break those rules? Things about, being able to become president if you are a convicted felon. Things like that. So all of that stuff, that's judgment, right, is going to be laid on heavy for the regime that is currently in power. And there's just a lot of legal work to do when this is done. So next year, July 18th, we're going to be in a very different place, I believe. I do believe. So that's what the card said. You saw it. KH and TW right there in the cards for July 18th, 2026. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? So I really hope I'm right. So we'll see. All right, let me see here. We're coming up on the hour. Cobar. Yeah. Okay, I see Raymond. I see your first question. Okay, so this is the other one. Will the fatwa issued by Iran on F-45 be attempted? There's been a fatwa on him from another Ayatollah, I think for the last 2 years there's been one. And there have been, I think the FBI knows that there's been attempts. I don't really know. I'm not in the FBI, and I've read so much news in the last 5 years. I can't keep all the stories straight. But this new one, yeah, maybe. It's very emotional. It's the current Ayatollah, the head Ayatollah, who is really upset with him. And I think that we won't really know. I mean, I don't think they'll ever be successful, but I don't think we'll really know if attempts are made. I think, the FBI will know, the CIA will know, and maybe the Proud Boys will know, because I think that's kind of Trump's personal bodyguards, or the Proud Boys, or maybe the Oath Creepers. I don't know, but I don't think the public will really know. So, and it's hard to tell. I mean, there probably will be, but he is pretty well protected. Okay, so that's pretty much all of the questions. Well, let me go back to my list. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good for a Friday night. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being with me. My deep and abiding thanks go out to Sherry for helping me out, even though she had to leave a little early. She had her own show to go to. So I will be back. When will I be back? Okay, that's today. I'll be back on Sunday. On Sunday, I'll be doing another solo show. And I promise I'll be a little bit more together because I will not have worked that day. But I do have a reading right before the show, but that's okay. I like doing readings. And then Wednesday on the 23rd, I will be on with Kathy Beal, the marvelous astrologer. And we will be talking about all the astrological implications that have been going on. And then next Friday, I will be on again for PoliTarology. So thank you for your questions. I really, really appreciate you being here. And I will try to be a little bit more together next time. This new job is kicking my butt. I mean, my brain is kind of like shredded wheat up here. There's not a lot going on up here. So I have to get a good night's sleep and drink lots of water and do lots of exercise so that I can really be together. Take care, everybody. See you next time.